Pretend you didn't see that. So, hello everybody, my name's Kelly, welcome to my channel. I'm here today to film my very first book haul of 2017, even though I actually bought these at the end of 2016, because I'm a rebel that way. Am I actually in the... Yes, that's where I want to be. So, the first book I bought on eBay secondhand because I really wanted the Harville Secker edition. It is the Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. You can get more mint editions of it, but they're very expensive. So I got one that was fairly beat up because actually more than this front sleeve, what I care about is the nice red boards with the clock, the end papers with the hats, and the black stained page edges. I like this edition. Even though this really nice paperback edition has just come out, it just feels flat compared to this. So that is my first one. Let's move the... Have my fairy lights been off this whole time? Then there was light. I just wish there had been some sooner because I just filmed like a too long and too involved video to refilm, which was my most anticipated releases of 2017. And it would have benefited from some nice ambiance. Nevertheless, The Night Circus, if you didn't know, it's about a circus that comes to town in the middle of the night, very mysterious, one of those books with a fairly vague blurb, but everyone that's read it, and that is everyone except me, I think, loves it. So, This next book you may remember from my top 5 books of 2016 video, which I'll link down below. It is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, a non-fiction book about creative living beyond fear. This was the perfect way to start my 2016, and I was tempted to start 2017 with it, but there's just so many other things I need to read for some specific videos that I'm planning. It talks about the myth of the tortured artist and advises a healthier way to go about it. I loved it. It's very irreverent, very funny, and the audiobook read by Elizabeth Gilbert is the most soothing thing in the world. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to reading this next one, but I'd like to acquire the whole trilogy in hardback, and the prices of those keep going up, up, and up. It is A Gathering, no it isn't, it is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is book 1 in a trilogy, and I think the third and final one, A Conjuring of Light, comes out this month or next. This is about a man who I believe travels between different Londons because of a cape he has, and the different Londons have different characteristics. And I'm quite happy to go into this one fairly blindfolded. That is literally all I know about it, and I don't want to know no more. Next up, I have the 4th and final book in the Lunar Chronicles. This is Winter by Marissa Meyer, and I have been meaning to read it for so long. It was so anticipated, but I just don't know when I'm going to get around to it. But I am keen to get the hardbacks before they disappear because they're so beautiful. These are science fiction fairy tale retellings. The first one is this world's version of Cinderella, who is a cyborg mechanic in New Beijing, and this one has a Snow White version. Next, I have Passenger by Alexandra Bracken, and I was keen to get this in hardback, even though I don't know when I'm going to read it, because it looks so very good naked. This is described as a treasure quest through time, which sounds great to me. Plus, I really enjoyed what I've read of her Darkest Minds trilogy. I think I read books 1 and 2. I should really finish that trilogy, shouldn't I? This is another one that was in my top 5 books of 2016. It is The Winner's Kiss by Rutkoski, book 3 in the Winner's Curse trilogy, which I cannot say enough good things about. It follows a girl called Kestrel, who is the daughter of a general in a world where there are only 2 choices for a woman. You get married or you enter the military, and Kestrel doesn't really fancy either of those. She just wants to play her piano. One day she buys a slave at the market, and after that, all bets are off. I actually hauled these next 2 videos last year while I was still living in Australia, and then I decided to repurchase them when I moved to Scotland rather than pay to send them here. The first one is First and Then by Emma Mills, which I bought because of the cover. It is gorgeous, and it also looks gorgeous naked. This is a YA contemporary about a girl who is crushing on her best friend, and then her cousin comes to town, and there's the arrival of a jock called Ezra, and I think these new characters are going to change things up a bit. I was thinking about maybe reading this for Valentine's Day. It's going to be pretty light and fluffy. Similarly, I decided to repurchase Pax by Sara Pennypacker. This is illustrated by John Klassen, who is absolutely one of my favourite illustrators. I really want to collect his picture books, but I'm pacing myself. This also looks beautiful under the jacket. It's got this rose gold foil fox, and you might not be able to see it, but this sort of embedded, imprinted foliage detailing front and back. It's really, really lovely. It's about a boy and his fox who are separated by, I'm assuming, the First World War. It doesn't actually say, but his dad enlists in the military and he has to return the fox to the wild, but then they try to find each other again, the fox and the boy. I'm obsessed with foxes. Anything with a fox is like an auto-buy thing for me. I finally decided on an edition of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I knew this one existed for a long time, but I resisted it a little bit, hoping to find something I liked more, because I don't like the picture on the back. I think it's really creepy. And I also don't picture Thornfield on this sheer sort of cliff thing they've got going on. I think that the Wuthering Heights edition suits this style far better, but there are things I do like. I like the deckled edges, I like the French flaps, and I love the choice of foiling just for the lantern here, because it really does make it glow off the page as it catches the light. And also the font for Jane Eyre is nice and jagged. I used moving to Scotland as an excuse to buy this one. This is Dune by Carey and Lorie Langdon. It's about a girl who is invited to spend the summer in Scotland with her friend. She's been imagining this boy in a kilt sort of popping up and following her around, and he actually follows her to Scotland, where many more unusual things begin to happen. Next up, because God forbid a single booktuber should not have this book, I bought Everything by Nicola Yoon. It's the story of a girl who's allergic to everything and the boy who moves in next door and changes everything. Next, I bought Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton, purely because I heard that it starts with a female sharpshooter in a shootout in the desert. Because I haven't read any V.E. Schwab yet, I actually have another of her books in this haul. This is Vicious. It's about two brilliant friends whose experimentations to acquire supernatural powers go wrongly and rightly, and they wind up mortal enemies. Next, I have two books, one of which was in my top 5 books of 2016, A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. The first is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. The second is, I think, a little bit based on the myth of, is it Persephone who goes down with Hades? I'm not sure, but who cares? They are just in their own right rather wonderful and addictive, and I cannot wait for A Court of Wings and Fury coming out later this year. I need it in my life. The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine is a retelling of Snow White. In this version, Snow White is on the run with her younger brother, however, and there is a neighbouring kingdom where the people are half human, half dragon, and they can shift between the two forms. The recently crowned king of that kingdom is forced to approach the queen of this one for an alliance, and to pay for that alliance, the queen extracts a promise from him to go and hunt down the runaway Snow White. It seems like it's going to be fairly predictable. Obviously, you know that they're going to form feelings for each other, but so far the delivery has been quite unusual, a little bit slow in places, and the power balance between Snow White, she's not called Snow White, she's called Lorelei, she's an enchantress in this one, and the sort of dragon human king is quite interesting. So I'm enjoying this. Next, I bought The Bees by Caroline Duffy, which is a collection of poetry that I found quite cheap on Amazon. I haven't read it yet, but I liked the cover. I'm not sure what it looks like. It's fairly plain underneath, but I quite like thin hardbacks. Nothing more to say about it than that. Also in poetry, I discovered these on Jennifer Campbell's channel. There is No Matter the Wreckage by Sarah Kay and Let Them Eat Chaos by Kate Tempest. Let Them Eat Chaos is one of those poems meant to be read aloud, and I heard Jen Campbell read a little bit of it on her channel, and it seemed very relentless and like it was building towards something. The language was incredible. So it's the kind of thing where the words are edible and delicious, and I'm really excited about it. You can also buy the CD of Kate Tempest, like reading it, performing it herself. Really excited about both of these. As another Jen Campbell recommendation, I bought New World Fairy Tales by Cassandra Parkin, which is exactly as it sounds. It's fairy tales retold set in contemporary America, and it's very thin, and as I said, I hear really good things about it. Next, I have a book which I always had my eye on while I was working at a bookshop in Sydney. It is The Great Zoo of China by Australian author Matthew Riley, and it is literally Jurassic Park with dragons. These last 5 books were in my bookish Christmas gift guide. There is 168 Hours, You Have More Time Than You Think by Laura Vanderkam, and also Better Than Before, What I Learned About Making and Breaking Habits to Sleep More, Quit Sugar, Procrastinate Less, and Generally Build a Happier Life, excuse me, by Gretchen Rubin. Again, I quite like a little bit of self-help in the new year, especially as pertains to productivity, and just, I procrastinate like nobody's business. In fact, filming these videos is another form of procrastination. Speaking in Tongues by Ella Francis Sanders is a collection of curious expressions from around the world with their English explanations. If we open up to page 14, we have a Serbian expression that I won't attempt to say, but in English it is he's ripping clouds with his nose, which is the same as saying he's walking around with his nose in the air thinking far too much of himself. I think we always start a new year determined to live a happier one, and who better to teach us than an author from not only the happiest country in the world, but from the Institute of Happiness in Copenhagen. This is The Little Book of Hygge, The Danish Way to Live Well by Mike Wicking or Make Wiking, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a very sweet little book which you can find really quite cheaply on Amazon or indeed in the supermarkets, usually under £5. And it's illustrated. It tells you about the Danish secret of hygge and happy living, and it's just good food, good company, candlelight, the absence of annoying things. I don't know when I'm going to read it, but I do want to. Finally, I have Q&A a day, a 5-year journal containing 365 questions to be used over the course of 5 years. I've started using this. I'm loving it. The questions so far have included, on January 3rd, what are you reading right now? And I wrote, I just finished Barefoot on the Wind by Zoe Marriott. The author and publisher retweeted my photo of the book on the snowy Sierra de Baza because I took a picture of my book in the snow in Spain. I really enjoy this. I actually think I might be able to stick with this, at least for the first year. So those are all my books for this haul. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these, are interested in reading any of these, or can't believe that I haven't already read some of these. I really like to engage with you in the comments. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and continue having a wonderful 2017. Goodbye.